For the tax police, every day's a battle.
This is customs. If you don't open the door, we're going to force it.
£15 billion is lost to tax fraud every year. One of the biggest contributors, the illicit tobacco trade. We secretly filmed those at the heart of the criminal supply chain.
Try that and see if you like that.
They're market savvy and they're risk savvy and they're risk averse.
We expose the inner workings of a multi-billion-pound global crime designed to rip off the consumer and taxpayer alike. The products are far more toxic than anything you could buy legally on the high street.
It's equivalent to smoking 30 cigarettes for every cigarette that you would buy legitimately.
And this is what happens when we confront the illegal tobacco traders.
Tobacco that you've been selling.
Early morning in Manchester.
So go then.
A series of raids is about to take place. First target for customs investigators, this house.
Welcome to the door, please. Thank you.
They're after illegal cigarettes.
Spend some time, eh? Don't need to speak to you. We've got a warrant. This one. Okay. No problem. We'll get it sorted out. On the premises, you got some cigarettes and tobacco here.
This one is what I've gone for him. He said coming today to take it.
Do you have any cash?
No.
Any large amounts of cash at all? No cash.
As the man is questioned, a few miles away, a shop he's connected with is also raided. Concealed inside a metal shelf, counterfeit cigarettes. And more inside a microwave. Under the counter, illegal Russian cigarettes. And dozens of single ones.
Some behind the counter including a lot of singles, which are obviously for children, and some tobacco on display, singles.
Meanwhile, back at the man's house, and his claims of having no more cigarettes are falling apart. Upstairs, under a mattress, £15,000. In all, more than 90,000 cigarettes, 15 kilograms of hand-rolled tobacco and thousands of pounds are seized.
We may be prosecuting him for fraudulent evasion of excise duty. Another option is that we would issue a financial penalty for the duty that's been evaded. He's also had his cars confiscated and seized, and he's also had a large amount of cash seized from him as well. So all in all, he won't be a very happy man today.
Everybody knows Britain's in debt, and targeting tax cheats is key to clawing back some of that much-needed cash. The illicit tobacco trade is costing the Treasury billions. Tonight, with secret filming and exclusive access to revenue and customs investigators, Panorama will take you to the heart of the criminal supply chain of the international tobacco trade. Almost a quarter of people in the UK smoke, spending billions of pounds on tobacco products every year. 80% of the price is tax, making our country the second most expensive place to smoke in the world. And that's led many to look to foreign shores to feed their habit.
Initially it started out with holidaymakers going abroad, bringing back the extra 200 cigarettes, the white van man going over through the southern ports. It then escalated further up to containers, roll-on, roll-off vehicles through the ports. The area of the illicit tobacco trade that my teams are involved in.
Michael Connolly is the head of specialist investigations for revenue and customs. His teams were at the front line of what started as a criminal cottage industry fueled by bargain-seeking smokers.
We had officers based in airports, we had scanner machines, x-ray machines. They just thought, well, someone trying to get one over in the taxman.
But getting one over on the taxman has now taken a more sinister turn. International organised crime gangs are putting themselves at the heart of the illicit tobacco trade. Today, customs officers have received intelligence that a counterfeit cigarette factory is being run from a series of flats in the heart of Glasgow. The next operation is a race against time to stop the tobacco from reaching the streets.
You got a good feeling about today, now? Oh, I don't want to tempt fate. You know, it looks good, it looks really good.
Already in place, the first team of officers.
Well, that's it there, isn't it?
The illicit tobacco trade is worth billions, and the officers know from experience there's every likelihood they'll be met with resistance.
Oh, it's customs. Can you open the door? Oh, this is customs. If you don't open the door, we're going to force it.
At the last moment, the door opens.
Hi there, how you doing? We're customs officers. Can we come in and have a word with you? Yeah. Can you tell us your name?
Michael.
Michael, okay.
Okay. Whose tobacco is this?
I don't know, I just come here, you know, see here for last night, you know, so I don't know.
Is there any other tobacco in the house?
I don't know.
Customs believe that behind this locked door is all the workings of a counterfeit cigarette factory.
Hey. Right, see if you don't give us a key,
Yeah?
we're going to break the door down. So you'd better get the key.
I don't have key, you can break it.
Right, okay.
No,
Inside, dozens of boxes. All the paraphernalia of a large-scale tobacco factory is here. Every sign points to it having come from China. Inside industrial-sized bags of Chinese tea, raw tobacco.
These tobacco factories have 2 or 3 Chinese gentlemen in them who are getting raw tobacco either through postal depots, through van loads, or through concealments via the ports, which will then be delivered to the tenement block, into their flat, and they'll sit on the floor putting that into counterfeit packets of Golden Virginia.
They're eating their dinner, they're having their lunch, they're clipping their nails, they're brushing their hair. It's all going on the carpet, and so that they don't lose any of the tobacco, they sweep it up back onto there. So you could be walking out and dogs dirt in the street, and somebody ends up on the street smoking it.
People think that this is a small tenement flat, and they see my officer seizing 600 kilos of hand-blown tobacco. Now, that's only one of 3 that we took out in the last 2 months. If our officers hadn't put those operations, taken them out, and that would have continued for a year, the Treasurer would lose £1.5 million a year from each of these tobacco factories. So it's not small time.
The gang has even counterfeited the tax stamps.
And it's the same numbers on them, see the 7069.
I didn't know then, but that fake tax number was to become a vital link in our investigation. 615 kilograms of counterfeit tobacco is seized by customs. From this one small flat, a UK tax loss of £104,000. I went to Newcastle to meet a man who knows more than most about the international illicit tobacco trade. Having made contact with some of the bigger crime gangs, Dr. Rob Hornsby has watched at close quarters as they've gained a foothold in the UK.
If we go to 2000, we see from the statistics that 80% of all seized goods, tobacco goods, cigarettes, were genuine brands, mostly UK brands. By the time we get to 2010, we find the genuine brand scale of the contraband market has reduced to 6%. We now see that counterfeit cigarettes make about a 47% share of the market, the illicit market.
The growing rise of counterfeit cigarettes means the illegal tobacco trade is no longer just a crime of tax not being paid on genuine brands. Half of all illicit tobacco in the UK is now counterfeit, and most of it produced in China. These pictures show the lengths the criminal counterfeiting gangs will go to. Buried deep beneath the earth through a makeshift trapdoor is a cigarette factory. One of 22,000 purpose-built counterfeit dens discovered in China in the last few years, flooding the world with unregulated tobacco. Processed in squalid conditions, this tobacco is then packaged, ready for shipment. And in Europe, there's no shortage of criminal buyers.
The criminal organisations have no problems to work together, so if you're based in the United Kingdom, you can make your order by phone to China and get a container of counterfeit cigarettes within a week.
Austin Rowan coordinates police and customs tobacco investigations around the world. His goal, to stop criminal tobacco gangs infiltrating Europe. Last year, his teams seized almost 5 billion cigarettes. Yet global criminal gangs are continuing to flood the market, knowing the profits to be made from just a single consignment.
If you're buying it for €100,000 and you're making 1 million in profit, that means you can afford to lose 8, 9 containers out of the 10 that you're bringing in and still make a profit. So it's really win-win-win for these criminal organisations. That's why they're in the business.
And that business is booming. In Europe, €10 billion in unpaid taxes are now lost every year as a result of the counterfeit and smuggled tobacco trade. And Austin Rowan admits the gangs are adept at exploiting any weakness in the system, often using international ports such as Singapore and the United Arab Emirates to switch containers, frustrating any trail of intelligence on the tobacco.
And then when it arrives in ports like Felixstowe, the goods are described as T-shirts. And as you can imagine, there's so many of these consignments, it's impossible for customs to detect them all.
The goods will be distributed within 1 or 2 hours of hitting their destination mark by road haulage into a industrial unit, bussed up, slaughtered into back of white vans, up and down the country. Then from there, sold on to other retailers.
So what are you talking, markets, shops,
markets, shops,
street sellers,
factories, workplaces, universities.
So when I go to my corner shop and I buy cigarettes, how do I know I'm getting real?
You don't.
The picturesque Scottish town of Ayr. One of the most lucrative selling points for the gangs is open-air markets. Always busy, filled with buyers looking for a bargain, and importantly, cash-only trade. Fertile ground for the tax evaders. We were tipped off about a criminal tobacco gang operating outside Ayr Market. Using hidden cameras, I filmed them for several weeks. These are the foot soldiers at the bottom end of the illicit tobacco trade. This is Alan Higgins, convicted thief. The man selling is John Scullion. And this man, always seen on the telephone, is Richard Grant, convicted fraudster with violent associates. Week after week, I keep seeing money changing hands. Scullion seems the only one on public display. To try and understand the dynamics of this criminal gang, I met with the former commander of Scotland Yard, Roy Ram. Throughout his 30-year career, he witnessed the emergence of the tobacco gangs from small-time smugglers to global criminal institutions. I show him my footage.
You see your man there doing a transaction. This is your man Scullion on the left, and he's doing a transaction. He's selling to this lady. Over comes Higgins, your second man. Higgins is taking some cash away from Scullion, and it's a lot of money. It's a management chain, isn't it? You know, here's the cashier, he's taking the money.
They keep the cigarettes and the tobacco up the sleeves and in the jackets. You can see the arms. His
jacket's absolutely bulging, isn't it? And he's feeling around himself. Oh, there we go. This is not Robin Hood and his band of merry men. What you're seeing here is organised crime.
On the 4th week of secretly filming the gang, I catch on camera something rather odd. Now watch what he does here. With the money Higgins has taken from Scullion all neatly rolled up, he gives a quick backward glance and throws it onto a nearby roof. Minutes later, with Higgins' back turned, Scullion does exactly the same thing.
That's very odd.
On this particular morning, the telephone man hadn't turned up. The money man hadn't turned up that they passed the money to.
What it could be is that they are creaming off some of the money for themselves. There is no honour amongst thieves, so I suspect that he's stealing from the company. What you're seeing is money being sucked out of the revenue. This is undermining the tax system, and whether you're a smoker or not, you and I and everybody else in that market are paying for what these people are doing. We are funding organised crime.
In order to find out who's behind the supply chain, I have to buy from the gang.
Alright, can I get, have you got Benson Hedges?
No, I won't get Marlborough.
Lights?
No,
Light.
the ordinary one.
Alright, can I get 40?
40 then, £7 worth. Yeah, I'll put them in the other in your hand. That's it.
How much?
Yeah, £7 worth. Use £3 change.
Scullion charges me £3.50 for 20 cigarettes, half what they should be. And £6.50 for the tobacco. I should be paying more than 12.
Right, so £6.50 you give me now.
Yep.
I notice a rather familiar number on the pouch. It's the same fake tax stamp code which Customs found in the Glasgow flat. This paperwork trail directly links the gang in Ayr with a major, organised Chinese crime group. We sent all the tobacco products we'd bought from the Ayr gang to an independent laboratory for testing. Now the results are worrying. Levels of lead in the Golden Virginia are 30 times that found in a genuine pouch of the tobacco. And in the fake Marlboro Reds, the lead is 17 times that found in the genuine product. Now in some of the other products, the deadly toxins cadmium and arsenic are also very high, in some cases 6 times the normal amount. So what the gang in Air is selling is not only counterfeit, not only supplied by a major Chinese crime gang, but it's also much more toxic than genuine legal tobacco. I arranged to meet one of the UK's leading experts in tobacco-related health. Professor Robert West agreed to look at our results from the counterfeit tobacco products we'd bought from Air.
I came to this thinking, well, you know, illicit tobacco, how much more dangerous can it be? Well, probably quite a bit. I think your results are quite striking. For example, Golden Virginia tobacco, bought from a supermarket, you get really trace levels, very low levels of lead. In the counterfeit sample that you have analysed, it's 30 times that. So it's equivalent to smoking 30 cigarettes for every cigarette that you would buy legitimately.
If you actually look at some of the levels, the Golden Virginia, the tobacco, if you were a 20-a-day smoker,
well, I think
600 legitimate cigarettes you would have to smoke to just smoke your normal 20 a day.
That's right, 600. I guess even the heaviest smoker would struggle to achieve that level of consumption.
Are you shocked? Genuinely,
I think
surprised?
that I am surprised and I am shocked, and I think that what we're probably looking at here is a health time bomb. We don't know when it will hit, but probably sooner rather than later.
When the long-term health effects do hit, the financial burden on the NHS will be huge. The billions the country's losing every year to the illegal tobacco trade could help foot that bill. Instead, in straitened economic times, those billions are going right into the back pockets of some of the country's major crime gangs.
Cigarettes, tobacco! Cigarettes, tobacco! Cigarettes, tobacco!
We didn't have to look far for a gang which dwarfs the one we'd filmed in Air. The Barras is one of the biggest open-air markets in Scotland. Both the scale and the audacity of this tobacco gang are immediately evident.
Hey, give me one.
Sleeves of 200 cigarettes sold in their dozens. The gang goes back and forward to a Rover and a black BMW to stock up. Nearly all their tobacco products are counterfeit. Again, I ask Roy Ram to look at footage of me buying from the gang.
Can I get two of them?
She then offers me a free sample.
Try that and see if you like that. Everybody's trying them and buying them.
Are they?
Take it, see if you like it, come back for more. I'm your supplier. There are so many similarities between this supply chain and the drug supply chain that they are almost indistinguishable. Most people walking around that market have no idea of the sophistication and the level of criminality that sits behind that lady.
It's a criminality which spans the world. She's just the public face. Dozens of customers, thousands of pounds. But does any of this cash go into the public purse, or does it just stay in her pink handbag? She gives them a bag.
Good of her. She could easily afford to give them a Versace bag, I suspect, from the amount of money she's making from it.
Elsewhere in the market, we find business is booming.
How many are you looking for? Please, darling. Blue Super King, £35.
We also had the products we bought from the Barras tested. They were all counterfeit, all from China, and with exactly the same high levels of toxins as those bought from Air.
These are criminal entrepreneurs, and they're market savvy and they're risk savvy and they're risk averse. Maximum sentence 7 years. Well, it's not a great risk, is it, for the profits involved?
Higgins and Scullion both have previous convictions for dealing in counterfeit cigarettes. Yet still they continue. It's time to ask Mr. Scullion for our money back.
What about if I take... Right, listen, actually I'm from the BBC. We've been filming you for the past 7 weeks. And what we've been doing, what we've actually been doing, Mr. If you've bought some of the counterfeit cigarettes from Mr. Scullion and you want to get your money back, be quick, because he's very fast. I hadn't even got round to asking for my money back. That's the quickest refusal for an interview I think I've ever seen.
Next stop, the Barras. The woman stallholder we've been filming isn't there, but her sidekick is.
All right, where's your woman I normally buy from?
She's having holiday now.
Is she? Where's she gone?
Caribbean cruise.
Very, very nice. It's just, I would like to bring them back because they're fake. They're counterfeits. They are. He sold them to me.
No, they ones.
As I go inside to see what he sells, I'm followed by one of his men.
From the BBC, we've actually been filming you secretly for the past couple of months.
Suddenly, it turns violent.
The tobacco that you've been selling. Hey!
You get yourself a on your cow. You gonna do it? You gonna take you out dance?
I needed to leave our evidence with them.
Well, listen, I'd like to leave this with you. Okay? I need to give you this letter.
You got to go away. Get off.
Things turn really nasty. Unable to get to me, he goes for the crew.
Can we get guys?
Yeah, I think we should just leave.
As we try to get away, a gang of men surround us and attack the car.
Everyone all right? Yeah. I think so. You all right, guys?
The fight against those criminal gangs involved in the international tobacco trade continues.
All we're doing is holding the tide away, the huge tide of the illicit trade in tobacco products.
Revenue and Customs has just been given £900 million to deal with tax evasion and other fraud. A big chunk of that will go towards tackling the growing counterfeit tobacco trade. But, given the scale of what we've uncovered, is it going to be enough?
A pre-Christmas pile-up for the motorway cops to contend with next here on BBC One, while it's life outside sheltered accommodation for the elderly when teenage meets old age on BBC Two, and on BBC Four, forced from theatre to TV, the story of Variety with Michael Grade.